entity they pray for that bless us with a successful meeting.
Amen.
Okay, at this point, we'd like to ask Brother Najee to do the welcoming.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you all. How's everybody?
Good.
How's everybody?
Excellent.
How's everybody? Good, good. Welcome, welcome. We thank each and every one of you that is here. Anyone here for your first time? No? No one here for the first time. Hopefully, you know, we can try to get some more men to come to the organization. As you know, one of the elements, the name is council. And we are an administration body where in fact you have different segments of people that comes with ideas, commitments. And we want to come together collectively as we come with these ideas so we can make it happen out in the streets. Sooner or later we'll be going out in the streets, and we would like to prepare ourselves for that. As you know, we are working basically underground, and sooner or later we'll be on top, and we'll be working out in the community. I know there's a major cleanup that's coming up. I talked with Brother Stan about it. He said it'd be good for us not to be a part of that because we don't want to get mixed with that. We want to be recognized as far as who we are and what we're doing. So again, thank you for everybody for coming out, and let's give everybody a warm round of applause that everybody that is here. Praise you for that. Thank you so much.
And as always, so we stay focused, we're going to go over our vision and mission statement.
Is that the corrected version? Is that the corrected version last week?
He's seeing now.
Anybody have the vision and mission statement?
Our vision, our mission statement. The mission of the Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia. Is that the mission statement?
No.
That's not it.
It's a little modification, but that doesn't work for us. I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead, Bruce, you can read it.
The Black Male Community Council mission statement. Our mission statement is to unite as black men in the city of Philadelphia for the purpose of providing a clean, safe, and secure environment for the women, children, and the elders of our community through membership and leadership that will embrace our community with their presence and resources that will uplift and empower struggling areas of our community. The vision statement. Our vision is to promote public safety and community empowerment in the black community of Philadelphia. We are a community service organization engaged in employing strategies that will stabilize those areas that need our services.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I left some of my stuff home. I was rushing out and left some of the stuff home. So since this is a group participation, thank everybody for what they said. We have the objective, but I don't have that. Does somebody have the objectives? If not, we'll move on. Okay, what's up, Darren? Okay, okay, the fundraiser, financial report. Everybody should have one. Okay, going over it. On the 23rd, the members' donation on the 23rd was $350. We didn't sell any merchandise last week. After the $350 and what we already had on hand was $506. So that gave us on hand at the end of last meeting was $856. Disbursement for a white paper, and I'll explain what the white paper is shortly. on 2/26, we had a white paper that was drawn up for us, and I'll share with you guys why it was drawn up. It was $150, and so the total funds on hand as of this meeting here, not including what we're gonna collect today, was $706. And as of today, we had 10 sweatshirts left, and so that gives us at $25 per. In merchandise, we have $250. And that's the financial report. Any questions about the financial report?
Are we gonna get more shirts made up later on?
Yeah, I believe it's time to get some made. I didn't want to just get stuff made and everybody pretty much settle with what they have. But I think it's time to get some more made so we can have some more merchandise. Also, while we're there, Najee came up with some beautiful hats designs, so we don't have to go look for hats design. He already got them made. How much the hats had, Najee?
$20.
$20, and $5 of that 20 comes to the
Organization.
as a fundraiser, as an organization. So I like them. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get me one of them hats. I'm not a hat person, but I'm gonna get me one. Here you go. You owe us $5. Here you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so.
Okay.
And then somewhere on there we had to write down what we're doing too is anyone that gives a donation and anyone buy merchandise, we writing it down so we can keep a track of what's being produced as these is our fundraisers. So we got to keep in mind that when we get the t-shirts, the hats, and the sweatshirts right now is fundraisers for us as an organization. Okay, so the finance report. We had, I swear, I left the house and I must have left that envelope somewhere in the house. But last time we met, we did some recommendations for hotspots. I know Susquehanna Avenue was one, right? And I think one down.
Angor Terrace. Angor Terrace.
Angor.
That's West Philly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's that address? 58,
between 55th and 58th in Angor.
58.
That's Southwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's only 2 blocks.
And Baltimore, right?
Yeah, that's like, yeah, that's kind of odd block.
Okay.
Angor Terrace.
1, 2, and we had 12th and Huntington.
12th and Huntington.
3. Okay, here you go, Carrie. Sign, this is donation, right?
Yes.
Sign right there. Okay, and we had Point Breeze. What'd you say? Point Breeze.
Point Breeze area.
Point Breeze area, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's South Philly.
And we supposed to get some type of cause Point Breeze is a commercial strip.
Right.
So we want to try to get into the communities. But so when you get a chance, see if we can identify a specific community location.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody remember any of the others? Okay, we had Gamel.
16th and Wingo-Hocking.
16th and Wingo-Hocking.
No. This gonna be tomorrow. Yeah. All right.
Okay, and I know we had Gamel.
Yeah.
What was that? What you had recommended?
Rush Road and Price Street, East Germantown.
Okay, somebody had something else.
Wayne Avenue. It's down there.
And Seymour.
Yeah, Wayne and Seymour, somebody said.
Yeah.
25th in Indiana.
Okay, 25th in Indiana.
Yes.
Okay, I think what we said we were gonna try to do, we was try to get 2 in West Philly, 2 in Southwest, 2 in South Philly, 2 in North Philly, and 2 in the Northwest Northwest area. Was it correct?
Allison and Lansdowne,
Where's that at?
West Philly.
Allison and Lansdowne?
Yes.
Okay.
When they coming in, 56?
55th, 56th.
You had 52nd and Market down there, and 60th and Market from last
We're
year.
not going to, that's a commercial corridor.
It's a commercial corridor, so that's not considered.
Yeah, because what we want to do, we want to be, if we cleaning and we securing, and we want to be in the hood and not on so much on the fringe. Like Susquehanna Avenue, you got 1 or 2 businesses on there, even though it's mostly residential, even though you got some business down there. And you got Susquehanna Avenue, you got from 16th and Susquehanna up to 22nd, and then you come down Dolphin Street, where it's not a lot of commercial. But when you go up to 52nd Street and Point Breeze and places like that, Shelton Avenue, most of that is business, is a business district. That makes sense, because I'm just saying what I think. I don't want to be...
as we grow, we can probably venture to that if it's needed.
Yeah, because I know when I got 10 hotspots from Detective Frank, and most of them hotspots was definitely all commercial. You see what I'm saying? So if we be cleaning up for commercials and we be doing stuff like that, and I think our presence would be more useful in the community as compared to on a commercial corridor.
I've been hearing about it.
Okay. So Susquehanna Avenue is North Philly, right? Baltimore Avenue is Southwest, right? Huntington Street is North Philly. Point Breeze is South Philly. 16th and Weehawken is Northwest, right? Cause Nicetown.
Nicetown.
Yeah, Nicetown. Breast and Price Street is Northwest.
East Germantown, Northwest.
Okay.
Uptown, whatever they call it.
So West Philly is Lansdale, right?
And 60th Street.
Okay, so we got two North Philadelphia locations. We got 1 Southwest Philadelphia location, and Weehawken is Nicetown. Breast Road is in Northwest, and Seymour and Wayne is in Northwest. So we had to make a decision which one of these we're gonna do between 16th and Weehawken, Breast Road, and Wayne and Seymour. Because if not, we have 3 up in what they consider the northwest section of the city, and if we try to keep within that spread, then we have to consider which one we're gonna do. And so we need 1 more in South Philly, 1 more in South. Hold up 1 minute. Hold 1 minute. We need 1 more in Southwest Philly, 1 more in South Philly, and 1 more in West Philly. Gamel?
Rush Road and Price Street might be a candidate to eliminate them, because as I related last week when we were here, they had some gunplay. So it's relatively quiet now for the moment. They moved, because that's what they do. They move in a 4-block radius and keep moving. So they on the move right now. So it's for that.
Okay, so you recommended that, so you want to take that off the recommendation?
Take that off for that.
Okay. Okay, so that means we got 2 for North, 2 for Northwest, and so we need 1 more in West, 1 more in Southwest, and 1 more in South Philly, and we have the 10 hotspots that we might that we're gonna be working on it. Everybody agree with that? Okay. All right. I'm gonna do this while I got this. Rochelle, some people had took a petition for Rochelle, Rochelle Bilal, who was running for the sheriff. And she called me today and she asked me, for those who have the petition, and no matter how many you got, whatever you have within that petition, they have to be notarized. And she had 2 days coming up this week where you can bring the petitions and you can get it notarized. One day is going to be at Lose and Choose, which is going to be Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. if for those who don't know where Lose and Choose at, that's up on around 20th, 21st and Huntington Park.
22nd and Huntington Park.
Yeah. And then the next day is going to be Friday, and that's going to be at 2526 North Broad Street. And that time for that is going to be from 4 to 7 p.m. So if anybody have any petitions and they need to be notarized on behalf of Rochelle Bilal running for sheriff, this is the days that they're going to have the notary there for the stuff to be notarized.
Could you repeat that one time, please?
Okay. On Tuesday, it's going to be at Lose and Choose, which is located around 21st and Huntington Park. And the time is going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. The next date will be Friday, and the location is 2526 North Broad Street. And the time for that is going to be from 4 to 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's between Cumberland and Huntington.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so where we at now? Okay, recommended hotspots. Now we need to discuss, let me do this before we get to that. This is a package that we put together. Okay. This is a package that we put together. How many got the emails that I sent out? If you didn't get the email from me, that means that most likely I need to get your email and make sure that it's written clear, because I went through all the applications that I had, and I sent out email, and a lot of them didn't come back as unable to receive, but some of them did. So if you did not get the email from this package here that I sent out to everyone that I had an email for, please take time and write your email down clearly, because sometimes if it's not clearly, then when I go put the information in, it'll come back because of the address cannot be notified. Because what I like to do from here on out is email the minutes to everybody, email all this information to everybody, so everybody can have it. And by the time we come to the meeting, everybody will at least be abreast or have an opportunity to look over the information. So if you didn't get one, that means I might not have. I don't have your email, or your email was not legible.
In that email, can you send the links of the videos so that we can forward it to our list and they can look at the videos? You know,
Okay.
YouTube, if you have
Yeah.
just the links there, you know, I can shoot them out, click on there and look at the videos on YouTube.
Okay, because basically what I do, like I just did here, I just put in our name, Black Belt, go to YouTube, Black Belt Community Council, and it all comes up. Yeah, Black Belt Community Council, and they all come up. Now this package here is important. The reason why this package is important, because of two things. Some of us might have friends and family members who might be interested in what we're doing as an organization, and this could be our PR package that would bring everybody up to speed as to what we're doing. So I did make some, and I have a stack of them here, and everybody who don't have one, please take one, and then I'll go over it right quick with everybody. Everybody have one?
Yeah. Well, we can take a couple extras for people that's in.
Yeah, that's why I had these made. And I'm gonna go over it right quick with everybody, so we could get an understanding of what this package is and what it's meant to do. And this also, I will email this to everyone too. With those who I emailed it to already have it, but those I emailed it to, that way you can always go to your email, and you can even email it to people in your email list. You see what I'm saying? So it's a way now for us to start reaching out and starting to let people know who we are, because since we pretty much got our basic organization, our basic committee, our basic how we're gonna operate already together, then this could be something that we could use to send out, to invite people to be a part of us, but also make people aware of what we've done and what we're doing. This paper here on the second page, this is the second 2 pages is our white page that we paid $150 for. Now, why would we spend $150 for this to get done? Me and Kofi, we was invited to a organization called the Workforce Development Committee or something of that nature. And evidently they must have heard about us and they invited us to come to a meeting, and it was about maybe 5 or 6 people who was in organizations that was invited to this meeting. And when we did our presentation at the meeting, they asked us as an organization to create a white paper. And creating this white paper just gives them an overview of who we are and what we propose to do as an organization. I like to make this clear, that I hope that we as an organization do be as independent and self-supporting as possible. Because if we're not careful, we can wind up attaching our activities contingent on money coming from outside sources. That's right. And we all know that that's a danger, right? But at this particular organization, they are a organization that works in conjunction with the mayor right now to try to stop the violence in the city of Philadelphia. So when we was there was this organization has an influx of money that comes from the federal government, the state, and the city. So they told us that they put up $2 million and the city put up $2 million. So that's $4 million that they have in their budget to support organizations like ourselves. Mm-hmm. So with the white paper was a paper that they asked us to give them in order to be able to be considered for some of the monies that they have for this particular nonviolent situation that we have in the city of Philadelphia.
You should give it all to us. They ain't doing nothing with it.
I second that emotion. Yeah. So the thing is, right now, by submitting this white paper to them, and we only had, I'll tell you the truth, we only had over the weekend or a couple of days past that to get this white paper into them. Mm-hmm. So it's a sister that we worked with prior who had that expertise to go in and cipher out from what we had and put the white paper together to be submitted to this organization for potential funding for us somewhere down the road.
Which one is the white paper?
The first 2.
Okay.
The first 2 pages will be considered the white paper. And so she worked the weekend, and as a self-supporting organization, I asked Kofi what did he think that would be worth, and he said about $150. So I gave the sister $150 out of our budget. And now the good news was that hopefully it even if it don't, I mean that's why I say I'm just giving a report. But I don't like to tie our horse or our wagon to some of these sources, but it has the potential. So Kofi informed me yesterday, I think it was, either Thursday, it might have been Thursday, that they got the white paper and now they want us to come and do a little move to the next level and show them some more of what we're talking about, number one, but also potentially do a presentation in front of the mayor and whoever else. And that's what we're going to do as the next stage, with the potential of getting some of the money from what we invested in this white paper. So that's the purpose of that white paper. That's a part of this. And also it explains, in just a short term, our organizational structure. So if you take time and read that, I think you'll find it in accordance with the work that we've done so far.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Excellent job.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And
Good job, Sam.
that's what we're doing. It's us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the rest of some of this, like the committee work that we've done, is important to be in here because the first 90 days is very self-explanatory, but at least those who read this package will get what our first 90-day action plan is of each committee. So they give them a visual of what we're proposing to do in the first 90 days. Last time, when we went through each committee, but this one committee, which I like to thank Leroy. Leroy did a yeoman's job in submitting the mediation committee report on a boots on the ground plan for the first 90 days. And Leroy,
Yes, sir.
would you mind coming up sharing, because that's a very strategical committee. Because
right.
if it's not done in a proper manner, it could cause more harm than good.
That's right.
And having a brother like Leroy with us, who have some experience and can lead us and guide us, so when we're doing some mediation, we are more successful than not. And I'd like Leroy just to take time and share what we have here from the mediation committee, because we didn't do that at the last meeting.
All right, thank you, Brother Stan. And again, I'd like to thank Brother Stan for organizing this total package. I had a chance to look at it in an email. It's just really great work here. Thank you, brother. All right. I gotta look over it myself again, because sometimes I'm moving too fast. But anyway, just to give you a little background on how I deal with these things here. With the unit that I work with in the Nation of Islam called the 10,000 Fearless, we have had workshops here in the city of Philadelphia with civic groups of masjids, mosques, even churches, to organize across the board, across the spectrum, in a non-denominational way, to work with any brothers that want to come out into the streets to do work. One of the catching points of dealing with this aspect of what it is that we do, when we go out into the streets, what's going to happen, you're going to find that there are issues that exist not only among groups of men or young brothers and even young women today, but you'll find that there are individual tiffs that blow off and cause other people to become involved. In other words, I'm one man, I go over here and start something with you, but then those that are gathered around you will support you towards me. So what we try to do is break that off before it gets a chance to fester into anything any larger. And that aspect of it is called conflict resolution or mediation, conflict resolution, conflict mediation. So we have had the blessing of having some folks coming from across the nation, actually, to some of our workshops here in Philadelphia, as well as having a national newsletter, which we send out data and information regarding different methods of addressing those settings. Now, a couple weeks ago, we were blessed right here in the basement here to have an initial setting, one of our first. Before we even got the committee together, we were blessed to have a session. And I'm glad I was here in that regard, because it gave me a chance to flex a little bit of what I have to the brothers that were there and to begin the process. When you do these type of things, what happens, what you have to be aware of before you engage are the dynamics of the threat that exists between two parties. So when you have to do some intel, you have to speak to them individually to get an idea of where they are and what's the threat level. So you can do anything from a 1 to a 10 in terms of a threat level, 1 being no threat at all or less threat, all the way up to a 10 of a high rating. So when you sit down with people, you have to recognize, and we've had this situation at Mosque number 12, whereas you have to have a secured environment. That's first and foremost. You have to have a secured environment. You have to establish with the parties who are the parties that are welcome in the meeting, and establish with them a time in which they come. So in other words, two warring parties don't come through the door at the same time. You also have to establish and have forces to be able to do it. You have to have people outside of wherever it is that you're meeting, so that no additional forces come to be a part of or aggress upon anybody that's there. So you really have to have it in the heart of the attendees in that meeting that they're safe. So that's one of the first things that you see: identify a safe place and so forth. Clarify individual perceptions involved in the conflict. The clarification is to, sometimes you have to ask and speak to people to bring out from them what the real issue is. and sometimes you find it to be senseless. So these are some of the things that you'll see as you begin to read through these points here. And there's so much more to it, because there's so much more I can say about just the providing a safe environment. A lot of brothers, you know, you may have been searched by the cops before, but you may not know how to do a search, thorough search. So we have to train in that, those of us that are going to participate, and I think all of us should, to one degree or another, learn the conflict mediation. Because that can happen right on your block while you're sitting on the steps. So every aspect of it, I think we all should, you know, at least put an ear to, try to, you know, gather an understanding of. But getting back to the search aspect, that aspect of securing the environment, having people outside to make sure that no one comes afterwards, and you also have to secure their leaving the location as well. You have to make sure that they're not leaving out at the same time. You have to make sure that no one has a cell phone necessarily open, like recording the meeting, so that somebody outside is listening to the meeting. It's a whole lot of details. But if you just come and say, come on, man, let's come together and let's swell this beef, you don't know what's going on between the two. Without going into too many specifics, and I'm gonna have a seat, one of the situations that we're dealing with right now, one man was shot. The man that aggressed upon him is paranoid about the man that he shot, who is willing to come to the table to talk. He's paranoid because he feels that he's up to something. He's trying to set me up. So we have to get into his head to the degree that first and foremost, we, the Black Men's Council, Community Council of Philadelphia, are not going to participate in any aspect of a setup.
That's right.
But because he doesn't know us, he's got this, like, you know, Negro thought that maybe we're part of somebody setting them up.
No, sir.
That's the type of thinking that we had to wrestle with. So in every aspect of it all, I believe that we all need to participate and get a chance to sit with those that are in the mediation committee to get a little bit more insight and know how to address some of the levels that we are able to address. And if it's anything more, we'll send it upstairs a little bit to get the proper help. Thank you, brothers. More in the future.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay. So again, before we leave, these is to be for us to take and share with whoever we think that might be interested in coming. Zachariah just came in, and Zach was on a call with us. Was it Thursday night, Zach? And Zach is, you know, Zach has many hats, but we are with the Nicetown Community Development Corporation. And the reason why I bring that up is because as we move forward with the potential of getting some resources, we need a fiduciary organization for it to come through. And Zach had agreed that the Nicetown CDC would be our fiduciary organization if we ever get some funds before we get our own 501c3. So we thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
All right, good job, Zach.
Yeah. Okay, I think if there's any questions, any other discussion on what we discussed so far? Okay, if not, we
I got a quick question.
go ahead.
When the brother just talked about the mediation, is it possible, and you've probably done that before, where we can, and I don't want to put more on your plate, where we can, in this setting, go over some mock scenarios where we can understand, look, and maybe try and work them out? Because something you said was, it might be trivial to us, but is monumental to them.
Yes, sir.
And we got to get on the same page with that in order we just mediate the whole situation.
Yes,
because we older, man, we ain't grow up thinking about that, but that's killing them out there. So maybe we can put it on your plate to try and get some scenarios you might have been in, or that we know that we can work on together to try and, you know, because like you said, we all going to be mediating. We might be in a situation where we're doing a cleanup and something might happen.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you hit that, because what we do skip the role play.
Okay, yeah.
Just for a brief example, what you just said about, you know, us being a little older and we're talking to a younger group of people, I just happen to work with SEPTA, and I deal with young people every day coming through different stations. One day, because of this new system, if any of you ride SEPTA, you probably noticed, man, that the system is wide open now in terms of people just pulling that bar back and walking on in. They got this, what they call an ADA gate. I call it 5 for 1. One person taps the car, 5 people walking behind. They thought they was doing something smart, and trying to follow in the way of New York and knock out people like myself's jobs. I work in the cashier department, revenue. If they automate the system, that takes Leroy out of the job. All right, so it ain't quite working. They also got a lawsuit currently with the Pennsylvania toll roads. The money that was used and allocated for tolls was also part of the money that SEPTA was hoping on getting. Now, the people with the turnpike, excuse me, that's what I meant to say, the turnpike are suing the Fed and the state to receive some of that money. So long story short, anyway, a young brother came up to the station. He pulled the bar back. I'm sitting there looking at him. All I do is shake my head, because there was a time that SEPTA had a police force, and that's another joke, whereas they could address fare evasions. So the young boy pulled the bar back. He thought I didn't see him. I'm just looking at him. I just shook my head like this. Ain't no need calling the cops. So he goes on in. So I came out because I wanted to say something to him, because I see him every day. I said, young brother, I said, you ain't going to get it until you get popped. Why did I say that? I didn't know that getting popped meant this. Even though I heard this, but most of us, we heard getting popped meaning getting buzzed by the cops. Now, I let them know.
You're old, man.
Yeah, all of us know that. Now, they got a camera, like this is the camera right here, right where this unit is. He pulls the bar back and he's standing right up under the camera when I'm talking to him. I said, young boy, I said, you see that camera up there? I said, you ain't gonna be cool until you get popped. What you mean, OG? What you mean by that? What's that, a threat? I said, step closer to him, because I was always taught, if someone starts to raise up, don't back up, go forward, right? Because if it's gonna be anything, I wanted to be close. So I stepped towards him and I said, how'd you get that out of that? He started mumbling something, and I was like, I don't even know where he's coming from. I said, I see where you are, brother. I said, just be careful and walk back. But what you're saying is what we have to understand. The language, like brother said, the language of us 70-year-olds, you know what I mean? We taking it all together different, you know? So that role playing and skits, we will be doing them. I already have some that are written out that have been given to me. I'll use some of the ones that we have already, and we'll bring them in here and we can do a little bit of that. A lot of people ain't comfortable with it. You have to get a little comfortable with it to understand it. But, you know, you play a part. You look at your part and you play it. So, yeah, we will be doing that. So what you just said was on point.
And not to hold it up, but one of the things on that mediation, from the shooting down on our block, that was, word on the street was, it was another shooting up at 12th and Cambridge. Then the father of the son who got killed came down to my corner because he heard the shooter was from my corner. And he asked my corner, who killed my son? Nobody said nothing. And then from the street word, a hit was put out on the corner, and eventually it came through the AK and hit the corner. So maybe if we could put these things in place, we could avoid that hit that came through. Somebody would have the courage to step to him and say, you know, the person that just killed your son is not here. And you know, I wasn't out there, nobody stepped up. And this is only going by what I heard. You know what I mean? This is only going by what I heard. And then the hit was, or whatever was put, and they came, shot the corner up and killed him. Maybe we had that mediation there. It wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.
That's wild that you say they had a hit on the corner.
On the corner.
So it don't matter.
Don't matter.
Anybody.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure what you're saying then in actuality is that we all gonna get training in conflict resolution skills.
I think we should.
I think we should.
You know, it ain't for everybody, and it's not to slight anyone to say that they don't want to get involved with it, because we need to have a unit that's tactical and specialists in that. You know, and everybody don't need to put that type of energy in it. But to really get into it, man, you damn gotta be a psychologist, you gotta be a bodyguard. It's a whole lot of stuff you gotta be, man.
At least recognize it. If you don't want to be a part of, pull somebody else in. You know what I mean?
And also recognize that it's heartfelt too.
Oh yeah.
Because some of our mediations have involved family members who family member have gotten killed, and the stuff is fresh on their mind, and they looking at you as if we don't want to talk to the cops, but we want to talk to you, but we don't have the resources necessarily to bring you out of your situation. We definitely can't help you with your funeral fees.
Right.
you know? So some of the things that we end up seeing and being a part of, I went with a lady 2 months ago in Camden because she didn't have anybody to go and identify her son's body. In a drive-by in Camden. She said that after my conversations with her, she said, Brother Leroy, can you think you can come with me? I went there, man, and the lady, she's standing there. They put you on a camera nowadays. You don't go into the morgue. They give you a screen, excuse me. And I'm standing there, and before they opened up the screen, I got my hand on her shoulder. When they told her, they told her to come forward a little bit so she could see the screen. They really do that to have a person to see it by themselves. Why, I don't know. But they want you to see it by yourself, the family members. So I kind of stood back. But that lady's legs went like spaghetti, man. I had to grab her to keep her from falling out, man, over what she saw on that screen. And one of the things, and I'm going to sit down on this, man, but that's why I say it's heartfelt. The boy got shot in the neck. The shot, one shot. Why did they have his body open?
They taking over.
Body parts.
Case closed.
Yeah.
Case closed.
Took all his organs.
Yeah, I had that experience that he just shared with the death of my son. And I had my daughter, who was already whacked out, and I suggested that she don't do that. But she was adamant about doing that at the hospital. And when we went back there to see, he had visible gunshot to the right temple, gunshot to the jaw, and a gunshot to the chest, which was very visible.
Yeah.
And the same experience, you know what I mean, that you just saying with her and my ex-wife, which was my son's mother. But again, you know, it's a situation where we need people like that have that expertise to be able to bring to the table if we have situations like that can maybe share experiences with people who might need our assistance.
Yes, sir.
And one thing is very important too, what Leroy was bringing, and it's very important for all of us to agree, number one, and to understand, even though we might have signed up for a specific committee, we have to be open to be available for whatever these four, especially these four main committees that we're going to do we're implementing within the first 90 days. See, Brother Yusef? Yeah, because if the area is clean and security needs some help, then we need to go to security. You see what I'm saying? If the area is dirty and security is tight, we need to go clean up. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
So we have to be open to being a dual purpose when we out there in the community. You know, I took a ride down Dolphin Street, since that's one of the areas that we considering or have considered, and that area need a lot of attention as far as cleaning up. You see what I'm saying? So when we hit our area like that, we know that we're gonna have boots on the ground doing some heavy lifting to clean that, get that area clean. You know, and if we go from 22nd and Dolphin to 16th and Dolphin, that's 6 blocks, and we come back up 6 blocks. That's a work, but with a team, it ain't that difficult. You know what I mean? So I just piggybacking on Brother Leroy. So when we hit boots on the ground, we'll be open to be able to participate where we need it at. Any more discussion on what we just talked so far?
Well, just briefly, I had a like experience when it spoke volumes what he said to do in a situation where you're approached by someone, instead of moving away from them, move towards them. I was in the store, standing in line, some brother stepped in front of me, just like, and I looked at him and said, yo, what's up, man? And then he, right away, I was standing in line, you should know that. I said, I didn't know that. I stepped in another line. And he came over to my line. And I instead of coming towards him, I, removed myself from him so that he didn't get any closer to me. The store owner said, whoa, he stopped it, but stuff like that happens all the time. It don't have to be out on the streets, but stuff happens like that all the time.
That's right.
But your experience and your way of resolving that was a little different than the way I reacted. So it's a learning experience. We have to retrain ourselves. I think we all need that kind of training. Yes.
Part of that training too is
some of these young people want to challenge us because they want power. You know what I mean? Because we old, and nobody would like us to help them grow up. They want to challenge us to get the power that they don't have in their life. And we got to learn and mediate that situation down to let them know. And it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for all of us. You know what I mean? It's going to be a real challenge. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Another thing too, when that happens, it's always good to have an arm length away from a person.
At least.
Because you can be up in front of a person and they can sucker punch you. So when you being faced like that, don't be all up on his face like that. Because you in the position that he can hit you, then you want to hit him back. But if that's arm length away, you want to, like, he got to be right with his arm is at. You want him to be standing right in front of his fist. And every time he come close, you got to stay away. Other than that, when you come in between here, right here.
Then
you
violation.
That's right. That's a violation. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
Now, we now have to consider how we're gonna organize this call out.
Yeah, it wasn't time.
Because the call out is gonna make us or break us. And that has to be very organized, right? And we had said a couple of things in reference to the call out. I did speak to a representative from Triumph, Brother Gerald, who I needed to call back because we're gonna right now the only big place we have on the possibilities is Triumph Baptist Church at Germantown in Huntington Park, and that's why I'm gonna hope next week that the 5 representatives that Pastor Hall told Brother Gerald to put together to come and be amongst us, what can happen next week. So if that happened next week, we can start the process at least having a location, because that's the most important thing. And then once we get the location, we can then start moving towards a date. Because I know we had originally was trying to use March the 16th, but we also say we don't want to come out the chute until everything is solidified and we have everything together. So even though that was a tentative date, but we still want to be able to move and get a date and a location. So what I'm going to do this week is talk at least to Pastor Hall and see if there's a possibility. So if that is a possibility, we could take that off our plate and let somebody have some other suggestions or some other location. So I'm gonna try to get some, at least a possibility.
When you say, is that for the original call out, coming out date?
No, this is the date for us to, what we call the call out is the date that we're gonna have our presentation to the larger Brotherhood of Philadelphia, the Black male community of Philadelphia. Because remember, our goal is to get the minimum of 500 participants on the 90-day action plan. And the only way we're gonna get that is we have to put a call out in order for the people to know to come and hear our organization,
our plan of action,
and our plan of action. So that's where we are now, and that's why, like, all the work that we've done as a committee is pretty much solidified. Now we can work together to start to organizing the actual call out. So. Yes.
Aziz had saying that before me.
No, but go ahead, brother.
Okay. My experience in this city of Philadelphia is, first of all, we know it's a city of neighborhoods, which means it's a city of cliques. There are at least 3 or 4 organizations that I can call off the top of my head that all claim to be doing similar work. But they can never seem to come together with up under a similar roof to come up with a similar draft to assist one another in what they all say that they're a part of. So you're very much on point by saying that this meeting can make you or break you, but I think organizationally, we have to strive towards getting unity with other organizations first, for those who would organize with us. Not that they all will, they haven't, historically haven't, but we need to find out as soon as we can, before the call out, what organizations are willing to come to the table with us. See, we're not taking an egotistical view, or egotistical position, excuse me. We're not taking an egotistical position, but we are taking a position of strength, and it doesn't mean that, that we have to be at the head of it. What it means is that we, as a people, collectively have to come up with a directive and a manner of which to address the issue. The ego has gotten a little bit too carried away in this city for things that are of need. I'm finished.
Thank you.
Okay, one thing that we say what we're gonna do, we picking the hot spots, right? So we got, I believe 7 so far, if I'm not mistaken. We got 2 in North Philly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 hot spots so far. And and one of the thought processes was to contact the committee people, the block captains,
right,
and community activists in these different locations, and reach out to them and ask them to come to one meeting. And at this one meeting, we would then share with them who we are and what our plans are.
Right.
So we don't become stagnated by having meeting, because if we're going to keep our synergy up, it's a natural thing. The longer you prolong something, you start losing your synergy and your energy. So what the goal is, and I just wrote that down, is again we need 3 more hot spots. If we don't get them, then we're gonna go with what we got. And I think it's time for us to reach out for the block captains, the committee people, and the community activists in these said locations. Like for instance, Giselle, I believe that's his name. Jessa. He's a active person in the Susquehanna Avenue area. We already got active people in the 12th and Huntington Street area. So we in Knightstown, we got Zachariah. We looking at 16th and Wigan Hocking. So we have some people already that we can reach out to and organize this meeting, and maybe we might be able to do it at the Knightstown community room at 4300 Germantown Avenue, if possible. So we could pick a date and a time and invite these people to that location and do our spill all at one time. Yes. I get to leave up.
Go ahead.
Okay. What do you think about contacting the homeless school associations?
No.
No? Okay. Let's put it out there.
Yeah, I'll retract my statement from the record now that you said it the way you just said it, because it'll be the minority that's going to move the majority. And if we can get grassroots people, the brother and the sister on the corner, those other smaller elements will look like, the planet Mercury standing next to the sun. You won't see them.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. You won't point.
Okay. So again, I'm gonna do my best this week to try to organize this particular meeting with these particular people who basically, if you know the committee people, if you got active committee people, you got block captains and community activists, these are the people who really could give us the feedback that we're trying to get, and also be aware of what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. So this is part of that process of organizing for the call out. Go ahead, Gamal.
Yeah, Brother Stan, let me know if I'm a little bit ahead of the process, but I'm envisioning at the meeting, right? And what I'm envisioning is an information gathering type situation. We have some great forms already, and I think that we need to, it would be nice, since we got these people there, circulate these forms. And the willingness of the people to participate, they'll sign those forms. Now, then we'll have like a sort of data or a place to start out for the call out. So they coming in there and they can sign out that, they can put on what they think their expertise or where they want to help. Like the form we already have, so we don't have to re-event nothing. But be passing this stuff out. I think we need to look at, like I said, I don't know if it's too quick, what we actually going to be doing at the call out. And probably, I know meeting with the people that you're talking about is probably before the call out, but we need to be looking in terms of circulation that information. You know, we were talking in terms of using radio, Brother Rick Ford and his communication process, or having that, what do they call that situation? When you sit down with the TV cameras and all of that stuff, what do they call it? Press conference, yeah, the press conference, because I think that's an effective tool on getting this word out to make us the vision of having 500 people come to light.
Yeah, that was part of what we. I don't know what happened. Rick ain't been here in a couple of 3 weeks. I'll give him a call and see if he's still interested in being on board with us. And you're correct. That's why another thing I say, I don't want, even though we have the potential of getting some funding in, like Kofi, for those who don't know, he ran a $4-point-something million fatherhood initiative program for over 10 years in the city of Philadelphia. And I always say jokingly, but it's real, it's ice to an Eskimo, and the Eskimo give him a tip. So that's how but so, some of that stuff I take the lead from him, but he was saying, and I'm hoping that we don't have to, we're not going to wait for any type of funding for us to do what you're talking about, is to reach out as far as some of the stuff that we might need some finances for. And if we keep doing what we're doing, we might be able to finance our own call out. You know what I'm saying?
One quick thing on the call out that might make it look good when we talk about boots on the ground in these hot spots. Using Brother Najee here, if we could like travel each of these spots and put it in one video, and we talk about what we're about at 12th and Huntington, and then we'll cut to another spot when we in West Philly. Then we cut to another spot, we all together, we in South Philly, and we talking about what this going to do, and it could be like a little 5-minute thing, and then we'll send it to all our friends. We'll send it to the councilmen, all these different people, and it'll be a 5-minute skit to let them know what we all about.
Yeah, you did that. I seen what you sent me.
Yeah.
And me and Najee was talking about doing the same thing.
Right.
Is actually taking one of these days and actually walk an area that we're going to be servicing and talk about what we want to do here, so people can visually see exactly what we're talking about.
Then if they see you put up this sign and you see all these brothers at 12th and Huntington or West Philly, well, I can come in and help them because they're going to be in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? I can come and help them because they're going to be in Southwest where my son got killed or my girlfriend got beat up or something like that. So when they see this, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to come in and help them.
So
and I think
Saturday we need to be at 12 and 100.
12 and 100 is going to be
that would be a good opportunity for us to wear our gear.
Present ourselves.
Present ourselves.
And present ourselves and then upload it to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And send people to it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's the beginning.
Great idea.
So that's real?
Huh?
That's real? Next Saturday?
Next Saturday at 12 and 100, right?
Yes, 12 and 100. And like he said, with other organizations, because I sit at this table and I do something else, we need to get other people that don't sit at this table with us.
Yeah, but I don't want us to put the cart before the horse.
Right. But if they already here, it's good.
I think next Saturday.
Next Saturday's going to be our cleanup.
At 12 and 100, we wear our gear.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
And if Najee, then we can make the statement and we can use that as a backdrop for us saying this is the activity that we're gonna be engaging in, as an organization.
Right.
But I believe that once we hit the boots on the ground and we do that 90-day activity consistently, that's going to speak volumes.
Yes.
Even to those who may have organizations right now that is doing different things. Yeah. But I believe that 90-day boots on the ground activities is going to do all of that, that we don't have to put the cart before the horse. Let's us do what we proposing to do, and that speaks for us. And once we do that, those organizations that, and what we do need to do, I think we need to do, is in this process before we hit the boots on the ground, is to get a list of as many organizations that is doing stuff and create a directory so all of us can have that, and also we can pass it out to the communities we're serving. You see what I'm saying? Like Mothers in Charge, for instance, you know, that's an organization that and even like the Stop the Violence that the Nation of Islam is doing and stuff like that. So people can, we can have a directory of existing organization that we can even refer people to as we out there doing what we're doing. Right. So I think a directory, we need to put a directory together, and if we benefit if we do it prior to us in conjunction or prior to us hitting the street.
And maybe whoever come out next week for the cleanup, we can, whoever comes out, 1, 2, 3, we can rehearse. If not, you're not there, we can get our phone and rehearse what we're trying to do for later on. It's only gonna take 2 minutes, you know what I mean? So whoever out there, 10 o'clock, right on the corner, my van gonna be right there. We're gonna have a table with cocoa, donuts, pretzels and stuff like that. Put something in your stomach. The only thing
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. The only thing gonna stop us if it's raining at that time. Like it was today because we canceled. It was raining earlier, but it stopped. But we didn't want to send people out there picking up trash. But if it's not raining at 10 o'clock, we're gonna be there. All right?
Got it going.
And try and wear your shirts.
And Brother Stanley, I have a question. We're talking about doing something, a 90-day plan. Specifically, when you say a 90-day plan, are you talking about Saturdays, or are you talking about 3 days a week or 5 days a week? And when you say a 90-day plan of us being out there?
Look, 90 days, one day, as many of us as possible, whatever area that we are committed to, that we be there, and that's where logistics gonna come in at, and that's where the organization of logistics gonna come in, because once we do the call out, remember there's people gonna come that don't know all what we know.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right? So when they come, they might say, I want to work at 12th and Huntington. I want to work at 12th and Huntington doing security. I'm available from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Logistically, we start to organizing that, and I'm available on Thursday and Tuesday. I'm just using that as an example. So now we the steering committee will be able to now do logistics and be able to coordinate that and say, listen, brother, today is Monday. Are you still committed to coming out at a certain time?
Okay.
So that's where the organization from the steering committee would do. So we know who's supposed to be there on what at what particular time. So we have the place that location covered.
Right.
Okay.
You know, say for instance, if the cleanup committee gets up and that area is clean, and we don't have to take no brooms and shovel, we can ask that whoever's on that sign up for the cleaning committee, will you be available to come and do some security? Okay. If there's a mediation being done and you on another committee and mediation needs you, would you be available to help with the mediation? So that's where the organizing and organization comes in from the steering committee perspective. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But we want to have as much of a present every day for 90 days doing some type of activity around the 4 main activities.
And on that note, when you said directory, then we're going to really need a directory for ourselves so these people can call, even though I'm on a cleanup, and they need to call, can you come here and do that? Directory for ourselves.
That's where the steering committee, we calling it.
Right.
And that's where within that committee, we have logistics and organization activities, right? So it say monitor which services are needed. If you look at the administrative committee, which we will use as the steering committee,
Right.
and then say when and where and how to provide the needed services. Then when you look at logistics, it say maintain information on what are needed, what are the needs of each committee, distribution of supplies and manpower.
Okay.
So those of us who are boots on the ground, you don't have to really be overly concerned about that, because this committee is going to be the one that's going to be doing all of that. So it won't be like you're on a cleanup committee and now you got to be running over here doing that. And that way we keep it organized also.
Okay.
Because I'm hoping we get 1,000. You see what I'm saying? If we get 1,000 of people that's committed, that give us more resources, human resources. And like the most important thing is black men being present. We did when we did the if you look at this here third round table, I think it was Leroy or somebody brought up the concept of the young brothers' spirit touching our spirit and our spirit touching their spirit. That touching of each other's spirit cannot be done if we're not in each other's presence. But by being in each other's presence, we can start to communicating with their spirit, and their spirit communicate with our spirit, and that's a part of the whole concept too. You see what I'm saying? Because if we there, and that's the part of what is being missing, is the young brothers is in the streets, and we in these buildings, and we in these safe zones, but we're not amongst them for that interaction of the spirits to take place. So this is again why we don't want to just go out on Saturdays and then throughout the course of the week we don't have an opportunity to interact with each other. And that the more we interact with each other, the more that whatever we perceive real or unreal, and I think it's more unreal than real, about the adversarialness that would take place between us and our young brothers. You see, it's just that we're not there, and so that interaction is not taking place. But once we get there, it'll take place.
Stanley?
Yes, sir.
I thank you, man, and I thank you really for bringing out the point of what's perceived to be real and what's real. Because we can sit up here, nobody really knows that. You hear all this stuff and it creates in the mind of people films and movies of stuff that ain't even really actual fact. And I like that because we really won't know until we get out there. You know, a lot of stuff, you got the media's hyping up stuff, you got out of fear stuff is like hyped up that may not necessarily be the case. So I appreciate you stating that. Thank you.
Yeah, and somebody brought this up earlier too, and we be mindful of this, that we're not going out there as the vigilantes or the police. You know, I mean, I'm not. We're not going out there saying young brothers don't sell marijuana. Right. Most of them, and we all know, if it's 50 of us, or 40 of us, or 30 of us, it's common sense. If they selling, they ain't gonna be selling right in front of us. You know what I mean? And if they do, that's that. We're not out there to do that type of activity. Right. You see what I'm saying? So long, and that's why with the code of conduct that Brother Youssef put together, and what Brother Leroy is bringing to us, and what we know as our goal is the four main things. We're gonna clean up. We're gonna walk around. We're not gonna let you just beat on a sister or beat an elderly up. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, that's what security is about. You see what I'm saying? But for the most purpose, we out there to do these four main things, give it a 90-day test run, and let's see what it produces. You know, and that's what as Brother Leroy always use the word organic. You know, we are a 90-day organic experience, and if we get prestigious results, great. If we have to make some adjustments, we make the adjustments.
All right.
One thing thing too, and when this is gonna be important too. This is important. I'm going to, Gamel is going to check with Treasurer's Banquet Hall. We did some things there over the last year that turned out great as far as raising funds, right? So we want to see if we can reserve that location for June the 29th, right? And that would be one of our major fundraisers, because I did the math on it. It holds around 60 people. I mean 650 people, 600 some odd people. If we do a old school cabaret at that location, and because it's a fundraiser, $50 is a small price to pay when you understand what fundraisers is about. There's a potential that we might create anywhere as a net anywhere, let's say from $20,000 to $25,000, and that'll be a good influx of independent fundraising for ourselves as an organization. So we want to make sure that that's a part of this 90-day activity. So hey, we hit the boots on the ground the 1st of April. By the end of June, that's the 90 days. And we'll be able to use that old school cabaret also as a way of sharing what our progress is or is not have been. So we want to keep that in mind. And then what we're going to do is, if Gamel can see if that date is available, we'll get tickets printed up and we'll start the process of using that as one of our fundraisers. That makes sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. I don't know what else we got for today.
Brother Stan, you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have that information back and present it at the next meeting. As far as that date, 29th.
12th for Susquehanna?
For treasurers.
I mean,
Treasurers.
Treasure.
The treasurers. I'll have that.
our next meeting is when?
No, we wasn't talking about the next meeting.
I thought he said, he's gonna
He
get a
said-
report at the next meeting.
Yeah, he was saying he gonna check with treasurers and see if the 29th is available. If it is available, he'll bring that report to us at the next meeting.
And our next meeting is at 12th and,
No.
okay.
Our next meeting is here. We're gonna be at 12 and
10.
Okay, we still gonna have a meeting here at 2
Right.
o'clock.
yeah, we're going to help with the cleanup that's gonna take place.
Okay.
number
And
one.
then
I
after
understand.
that, the trash trucks should come about 1, then we can leave. Well, we can leave then because we probably be done about 12, then we'll come back over here.
Yeah, because
Okay, I got you.
what
I
we're gonna do
understand.
is we're gonna use that activity as a backdrop,
Right.
as a prelude to what we're proposing to do, at least with the cleanup activity.
Right. And I would hopefully like we can do something small with some type of video on practicing or rehearsing what our call out is going to be. We could just, because usually people stand in front of a camera and all the people behind them. You ever see the things with the cops on it? They got all these people behind
Oh, you
them,
talking
the
about-
governor, all these people behind them.
As a commercial.
No, like on a, when they announcing something.
Press conference.
Press conference.
Oh, yeah.
When they got the person standing, but then they got all the agencies or all the people behind us. And I would think that would be a good suggestion when we do our call out, something visual for people to see. And we can probably practice that in like 5 minutes at the cleanup.
No, we just gonna do what we're gonna do at
All
the
right,
cleanup.
all right.
We get that. Hey, Zach,
Yes, sir.
one thing I was thinking about as far as while we on the call out, I know the Master Shore, they meet every so often, right?
Manchester Shore, Philadelphia,
Yeah.
every quarter.
Okay. Every quarter. Okay. Because what we want to try to do as a way of really with Pastor Hall, I'm gonna see if he could get us in front of the black clergy. And if we could get in front of the Master Shore, I don't know if they meet quarterly. We might have missed the meeting, but we need to find out. So, because here you got an organization where there's a large number of men. And since we seeking men, getting in front of them organizations and getting their support for moving their men to our call out would be a benefit to us as far as numbers go.
I think in reference to, Brother that gave the reference to the strategic
partners or strategic alliances, that we create the presentation in paper form and kite it out, you know, and send it out, you know, to all the organizations from, you know, from, someone said something about the Home and School Association. It wouldn't hurt that we present the BMCCP on official letterhead, what the mission, purpose, yada yada is, and we kite that out to give, I mean, that way you don't have to do a pony show in front of everybody.
Right.
But you can send out, you know, and whether it's a selective mail, not mass mail, but selective mail to the various strategic organizations who we are and what we're intending to do. Earlier we were talking about create this buzz. That's all about. It's all about creating this buzz. You know, people want to. Who is them BMCCP boys? Who are they? Who are the men?
What they about?
And what they're about, exactly. And we can share that with a professional piece and get it out to those various organizations. And then when you see us on the corners, you done already had some heads up to who we really are.
Okay. This would be what we would use. I think it's a good package. Okay. Brother Giselle.
Yes, sir.
Do you have something today?
Say that once more.
Do you have something going on today?
I don't.
Okay.
No, sir.
Was it last week?
No, actually, we moved the date up to March 23rd. So we're still putting the components together.
Okay.
I did invite one of the representatives today. He couldn't make it, but hopefully we'll be here next week together. I'll inform, I guess, the board, the staff, you know, how some of the things that I want to see us get involved with the council as well. Listening to Brother Zach, I know it sounds like it's going to be strategic as far as what's going to be disclosed and who it's going to be disclosed to. So, but I do for the event, I would like to invite everybody to be there, whether or not we're a part of the speaking engagement or not. But the networking is always, you know, it's always on point, you know. So
okay, you're gonna have a flyer of that?
The flyer's being adjusted because we had some people who were placed on the flyer that's, you know, they're not going to be able to make the date change. So it's being adjusted. The date, the same location is still the Historic Church of the Advocate. So we got an RSVP for March 23rd. So I'll be able to bring you up to date. I'll send you and Brother Leroy, I'll be able to point people that I'll send the actual flyer to and give the information to, as long as, you know, as long as it starts to develop and become more concrete.
Okay, and just for information, we did select Susquehanna Avenue area
Yes.
as one of the hot spots we're gonna be working within.
Okay.
Yeah. And y'all know who Brother Giselle is?
No, sir.
Okay, please share with us.
Okay, I'm sorry, family. Assalamu alaikum. I'm one of the younger community leaders from the Susquehanna community, specifically Broad to 22nd. That's the neighborhood that I grew up in. I'm a member of the Nation of Islam out of Mosque number 12 under the leadership of student minister Radi Muhammad, under the guidance of the Minister Louis Farrakhan. I've been there roughly 7 years now. I've been doing some primarily community work, working with the young people, specifically young men. Okay. So my role with the mosque is with the Prison Reform Ministry, and I'm one of the youth liaisons. So my goal is to stir the young people from a path that I chose, crime and violence, and I'm sure some of y'all can relate to that. With that being said, I'm humbled to be here, to be a part of this. Like Brother Stanley said, it's a hot spot where I live at. You know, the crime and the recidivism, you know, it's ongoing. You know, I've been in and out of jail, well, arrests and, you know, short prison time. And, you know, and I see it, you know, we come home from prison, you know, it's the same old rigmarole. We can't get jobs, we get these no's, and we go right back to the smoking, the drinking, and our network is a criminal element, you know. So what we're trying to do is just, you know, embrace the young people, show them that, you know, bridge that gap, show them that we care, we know, and we're able to help them. You know, sometimes I get, you know, in my head, you know, I'm like, look, listen, like, it's game over, like, you know, you know, you don't even really have to, you know, be on these corners to do what, you know, what it is that you want to do as far as getting some money, you know, but because we still in that same mindset, that keeping up that same old tradition of the corners, like, you know, I know some of you guys, you know, remember, you know, the day when you were doing the, you know, the corner thing. So, I mean, nobody hang outside the liquor stores no more. They outside the Cold Beer Deli. You know, they hanging outside the Chinese store. Right. So it's more that, you know, the liquor stores were, you know, they were sparse. You know, they were distributed in different parts of the city. But these Cold Beer delis and bars, you know, they're all bunched up. You know, so it's crime and element on every corner. You know, so what we got to do is try to get these young men and go right to where they at, set up the table, say, listen, we have jobs, we have resources, let's take advantage of this. And then hopefully we'll see no more of that, but they'll start to understand that, you know, this is a neighborhood that's being cleaned up. And we got brothers and sisters who look like me who want to come clean it up. And, you know, just not get too long-winded. If we don't do it, somebody else is going to come and do it. And even if it's just picking up a broom and sweeping out front of a building that they own, they don't live there, they just sweeping up there. So that's their investment. Because they came out and cleaned up, and we did, you know? You know, I got the guilt because I come out with a Final Call newspaper, and they don't want that. They're not attracted to it because they're looking for another kind of paper, you know. And I can't give them that paper, you know. So when I got to go where I'm going, and I can't take an hour to talk to them, you know, like I really want to, you know, that's the gap starts to spread. You know, I don't have that relationship. You know, now they're growing. You know, the guy who was 15 now he's 21. You know, I have him in 7 years. You know, he's a man now. You know, so I implore you. I want to go to the different parts of the city. I don't want to just make it seem like, you know, my spot is just so more important than anybody else's. You know, so you know, if anything, I just want to share that. And if that was compassionate and more information enough, you know, about me and why I'm here, you know, I hope that was pleasing to y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think we pretty much covered everything. Our next roundtable, if Najee's schedule permits, is going to be this Wednesday. Probably over my house again. The topic, this what we running past each other on this particular topic, is the value of sacrificing and the repercussion of not sacrificing for our women, children, and elders. So we can, and if you take time to go look at all three of these roundtable discussions, they all cover different topics around what we're talking about. So the roundtable discussion is for us to bring information to those who come in and visit our YouTube channel. But the importance of sacrificing, because when you look at what's taking place in our overall community, but the country as a loss, we become so self-centered that we're not willing to sacrifice for some time, money, and energy for the benefit of ourselves, number one, and for the benefit of those who we say we love and care about. So talking about that would bring a new, another idea, a concept for us to consider. And also talking about what is the repercussions of not sacrificing for our women, children, and elders. You see what I'm saying? Yes, you know, we'll spend time, like with the football season, we'll sacrifice 3 hours of our valuable time rooting for a team that wouldn't spit on you if you was on fire. Right? We'll sit down and sacrifice our valuable time and energy and activities that is non-productive for ourselves, our family, and so talking about that in this type of setting give an opportunity to flush it out, but then give an opportunity for those who come and listen to maybe help them understand the value of sacrifices and the consequences of not sacrificing. So this, what we're doing is have many purposes other than just driving people to our YouTube channel for the sake of just having views.
Yes.
So that's it. If anybody got anything else, go ahead, Levi.
Yes, sir. In this bag here, I have a chart that I found to be very useful. And if you care to, you can come up here and just take a photo shot of it. It'd be a nice thing to have. I got this from police department, but what it is, it has all of the city districts, their location and phone number, the district number. So you may want to put this in the phone if you're in an area, you want to address a particular district and their command. I've gotten a promise recently because there's been a lot of changes in the police department, whereas some of the commanders have changed within the last couple of months. So they're going to give me a fresh commanders list of each district. So the next time I'll have a chart with the district's location, commander, and the phone number for the district. So you can take a photocopy of that if you like, and use it for your use.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, is there any questions, any discussion we need before we close out? Yeah. If not, we will, yes, sir.
Briefly, last week there was discussion about code of conduct. Was there any further developments about that?
Yeah, we voted, I believe, to use that as our code of conduct.
As our code of conduct.
Organization.
Okay. Yeah.
Y'all have it?
I don't have it with me at the moment, but I definitely would make some copies. I would make some copies and have it for everybody next week.
Can I take a couple of these?
Yeah, and the Monahan report is here for anybody who don't have it. And also we have these informational packages on our organization that you can take and pass out to people too. And also, again, I'm gonna send it out again to those who emails I got now that might not have received it, and you can get them printed, and you can also forward it to other people in your email list.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Hey, everybody, please stand.
Sir.
Okay. I want to ask a question. Why are we here? Why are we here?
Change.
Come on now, why are we here? We are fighting for our people. And we will what? Surely win. Why are we here? We are fighting for our people and we will surely win. So now ask that question again, that's the answer. Alright? So now if everybody can stand, in the end we're gonna do the vote. Alright? We are fighting for our people, and we will surely win with sacrifice and unity and some LOVE. We know that it's not easy, but that is okay. But what moves us, what drives us, what motivates us is LOVE. L, loyalty. O, overcoming. V, victory. E, embracing your people, because we are fighting for our people and we will surely win. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. All right.
You know who this is?
Was your hands right? I just got that.
Can I say something real quick?
Everybody?
To everybody.
Can we have everybody?
Everybody, for everybody's go.
So we get everybody
Let me make sure, now, I'm not accusing anybody, but let me just say this. It may be me, I may have just lost them, but I believe that put them on the table. Because I was talking about Stanley. I'm not sure.
Anybody find a pair of gloves?
Find a pair of gloves, black leather gloves.
Pair of gloves.
Hey, right here.
They was gonna say $100 bill.
Some gloves, man.
We went from boots on the ground to gloves on the ground. What's up, brother? I'm blessed, brother. Good seeing you.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, no problem,
fam.
Dig it. I'm back to work, man.
Yeah.
I told you, I know where I was going. You said I sound like a young boy making confusing. I'm a union employee. That's what you didn't understand. Yeah. And I get the phone call. I'm working. That's what it is. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. Yes, sir.